Hey guys, Vazzy back here, and in today's video we are going to be checking out another retro NHL game. In today's video that is going to be on NHL 12. So NHL 12 in particular really does hold a special place with me, as that was really the first NHL game that I started to play quite a bit. I had played NHL 10, 11, those games, but it wasn't really my main game. I would go and come back to it or whatever, but when NHL 12 came out, it was more or less that was all I would play. And then for a lot of years going on, the EA NHL titles would be all I'd really end up buying, so this is where everything really started, at least for myself. Obviously having Stamkos on the cover, being a Bolts fan, probably did help out with that. I remember always thinking the Stamkos art always looked really off in this game for whatever reason. It kind of resemblances him, but it doesn't look great if I'm being honest. So loading in here, we actually have a decent amount of options. It's the second year I believe that Hockey Ultimate Team was in the game. So let's start things out where we always more or less do in these videos, looking at the EA tracks here. I don't actually really remember what was in this game here. Looking at it, nothing really stands out to me. Again, this game is, what, 12 years old now, more or less? But yeah, nothing really comes to mind, at least for music. They also, again, had custom music, just like all these older games did. Let's go and look at some of the rosters here. So, leagues in this game: NHL, AHL, national teams. Not sure what this Elite League was. The SM Liga, the Dell, Czech League, National League, all the CHL teams, and then I guess just the various legend teams that were in the game. So let's just scroll through the NHL teams here quick. It's nice I can actually sort by overall in this game, which is very good. So I'll go through everyone's NHL team here just so you guys can see who the top players were for your favorite team here back in NHL 12. Pavel Datsyuk there, 93 overall, only had a C potential. A lot of these guys actually look like they have pretty low potentials. I'm not sure what that was about. Don't really remember that. Kovalchuk there on the Devils, Gaborik on the Rangers. There's Pronger there on the Flyers. Crosby a 94. See, yeah, he has a C potential. What the heck? There must have been something going on there with potentials back in the day. I don't really remember, if I'm being honest. Stammer, your cover star, 91 overall. He actually has a B potential. Kessel on the Leafs, the two Sedins. Yeah, again, Ovechkin with the C. But yeah, there's a quick look at all the NHL rosters for you in this year's game. But moving on from that, let us go and check out all the various game modes. So obviously you had your BAGM, playoff mode, season mode, tournament mode, creative play mode. I actually don't really remember what that is. It sounds familiar, but I'm not too sure. And then you also have practice and shootout mode. So like we always do in these videos, let us go into BAGM mode. Again, making all these videos on all these older games, I kind of end up going over the same stuff, and I do realize that here. These games, at least when it comes to franchise mode, didn't really evolve as much as I think we may think of looking back on it. And again, they were a very solid franchise mode. They had a lot of really cool features in them, but year to year, not that much was added. You know, that really makes it different from the different years around these releases. So again, I think it'll be more or less a lot of the same things here once we actually get into franchise mode, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the exact same layout. They did have this layout for quite a long time. Again, I've said multiple times I do really like it overall, a lot of good memories. But going up here in the calendar, again, you had the NHL All-Star Game. Showed this off in a previous video. Very, very cool. Just one player from each team automatically gets assigned to the All-Star team. And then you had the trade deadline as well. Again, quite a bit different than we had in these current NHL titles. I like the one we currently have now, but they did have a different option back then. And yeah, it looks like everything here more or less is the same in the GM tracker. I really do want reputations to come back. That's so cool. And how that can change over time. Again, yeah, just tracking your stats, managing your staff. Everything there is exactly the same as prior years. When it comes to GM options, again, contracts, nothing was there for extensions for quite a while at this point. Looking at free agency, Mike Comrie, I see there, Michael Nylander, his father, I believe, Jonathan Chichu. Some good names there for sure. Jonas Enroth, 23 and 80, that's actually not bad. Toskala. But this is actually something I do want to see. I haven't mentioned this yet in any of these videos. it has the interest in different teams on this screen. So Enroth might be more interested in signing with like Dallas, like it said there. That would be really cool to see brought back into a newer game's titles, but that is something that was a factor of some of these older games. Comes to roster management, again, exactly the same look, nothing here has changed. It is kind of crazy that EA never did give the menus a different look at all, from at least NHL 12 to 15, and then they really didn't change till they got to newer gen consoles, if I remember correctly. And I guess it's kind of a trend with EA. They haven't really changed the look of things in current titles in quite a while as well, so that's going to kind of do it there for Be a GM mode back here in NHL 12. Nothing too special, at least when it comes to differentiation from the other games, but still very solid. I know HUT servers are down here, no chance of us getting in here, but I will give it a good try here just to say I did. For whatever reason, I'm not signed into my Xbox Live account, I'm not too sure why. Data sharing, that doesn't matter, and yeah, servers are down, unfortunately. Again, looking at the Winter Classic, we do this more or less in every one of these videos. I'm not going to jump into a game, we've seen it a million times, but I want to say this, yeah, I think it said new, so this was the first year the Winter Classic was officially in these older games. You have EASHL here, you had Be a Pro, and in this here, looking at the options, you had the just start in the NHL, and I think the CHL one you could actually play a full year there. I honestly don't really know what it is in the new games, haven't played that in quite a while. Looking at Be a Legend, yeah, there's a lot more options. It's Ronek, Chelios, Salming, Yzerman, Bork, Wah, Howe, Lemieux, and Gretzky. Very good options there for that. It's crazy that in NHL 14 they actually had less options. I want to check out this create a play thing. It very vaguely is familiar to me. I'm not too sure here. I kind of remember messing around with it, but I really don't know how to do it at all here, so why not? Let's jump into it. Just do a 3-man rush. Yeah, may as well. Yeah, you could change it to power play, all that kind of different stuff. I think you could do defensive zone as well there. So let us load into create a play here and see how this all worked. I think you could like record your players and where they wanted to go, and then in-game situations like lines would show up of where you should be skating and stuff. I remember something like that. I'm not too sure. Sounds about right, but so create a play, introduction. Yeah, just markers of where they should go. And yeah, you could record the blue circles. You could stop recording, start recording there, and testing your play. So let us try this out here again. I have no idea how this actually works myself. How do I start? So yeah, skating around. I have my test going. I don't know why the other CPU guy isn't going. Let's try that again. Reset play. Let's see. Try that now. So it is recording. Again, I don't know why Stamkos there, the AI isn't moving. Maybe I'm missing something. But yeah, that's the overall idea of that mode. You could really do some cool things if you got it to work. And you could use those, I'm assuming, online, offline, in your franchise mode, whatever you wanted to do. And I believe that is the last game you could add in. I don't remember seeing that in 13 when we looked at the games, so. With that being said, really last thing here I think I wanted to do was just jump into a game, see how it all feels. Got pro 5 minutes, that's fine. Just from the skating around there, the skating physics, everything felt pretty good there in the creative place, so expecting pretty good things here from NHL 12. I know I wasn't the biggest fan of 13, so see here if there is a decent difference here between the two games. But loading in here, we have the classic loading screens here. I remember those were in the game for quite a while as well. I think a lot of the overall presentation just didn't change for years upon years. When it comes to team introductions here, I assume it's the same thing. Yeah, the players going down the hallway. I'd love to see this in the modern games. We have the create a tunnel and all that stuff in the arenas nowadays, so give us these kind of shots, mix it in with some of the modern day presentation stuff, and I think it could be really cool. But yeah, it just shows everyone skating out for warm-up. Tim Thomas there. I guess, yeah, against Roberto Luongo here. This was the year that Boston met Vancouver in the Stanley Cup Finals. We all know how that ended. But let's jump into a game here. Lose the opening face-off. Does feel actually pretty quick overall, not too bad. Passing feels crisp. Going from Henrik to Daniel Sedin. Like that backhand actually felt like it actually had something on it. Again, I know I'm like 2 seconds into the gameplay here, but it definitely does feel different than current games, and I think that's a good thing overall. The new games, I know they're changing things here with the pressure system and all that stuff year to year, but for the most part, the gameplay just stays the same. And there was a certain charm of these older games, that's for sure. I remember after the whistle, there was always lots of interesting stuff you could actually get into here. Let me cut ahead here and see if I can get an example of that quickly. So there we go, Thomas makes the save. And yeah, I remember you could just body the goalie all over the ice, and it would just go on for like forever. Here's not the best example maybe, but I remember you could get him to like center ice sometimes. The physics with all that stuff was just crazy back then. I'm pretty sure it was the only year you could do that. I think they fixed it in NHL 13, but I always remember that being a very funny thing about this game. But overall, I think that's more or less everything here to look at in NHL 12. Overall, it was actually a pretty fun game back in the day. Everyone talks about NHL 14, but really all these games from this era were pretty good for the most part. We've looked at 15 on the old gen, that was a good game. 13, 12 now we're looking at, they were pretty solid games themselves, so if you do have them on older consoles, definitely recommend checking them out and seeing what they're all about. But I do think that is going to do it for today's video. I will see you all in the next one.